guys, this is Dwayne Hicks with the All-Pro Team Talks, and today I have Jason Templeton, local State Farm agent extraordinaire in town. Jason and I have been friends a long time, and he's my insurance agent, and invited him in to talk a little bit about insurance and what kind of insurance. State Farm covers a lot, right, Jason?
Yeah, we do, and thanks for having me, Dwayne. I really appreciate it. It means a lot.
You're welcome, man. And the if you don't mind, we're kind of mainly going to talk about homeowners insurance because that's kind of the field that the All-Pro Team works in the real estate field. But sometimes when people come to you guys, or when a buyer comes and they're getting ready to buy a house, and the bank tells them to go out and get you some homeowners insurance, and then come back with proof of insurance. Tell me some of that process, if you don't mind. What kind of questions you ask them?
Yeah, I think that's a great question to start off with, and it's a lot different for a first-time home buyer versus someone who's bought several homes.
Okay.
The process is a little bit different, or we treat it a little different in our office because a first-time home buyer is just kind of, I don't want to say thrown to the wolves, but they're just kind of like, hey, you got to go get some insurance. And they're like, well, I've never had insurance before. So we try to go through with every customer, detail line by line, but explain to them, what you got. And one of the misconceptions I would say that comes across the majority of first-time home buyers is replacement cost, actual cash value versus market value. Yeah. Because especially right now.
But do a shallow dive, not a deep dive into those, because I know insurance can be super complicated, and there's a lot of variables in there. Kind of give us the Reader's Digest version of what those three different things are. Yeah,
I'm going to speak really kind of towards more of a State Farm homeowners policy versus others, because we can only do replacement cost. And, I'm not smart enough to know all the different policies. So a replacement cost is to get you back to where you were before. Replacement. To get you back to where you were before. And what you pay for the house is kind of different than what we're saying we can rebuild it for. Okay. And that's what we explain to people. We have a tool that tells us, hey, if your house was to burn down or to get blown away by a tornado, this is what it's going to cost to rebuild your house back to where it is today. Okay. That's replacement cost. Okay. We don't go in and say, hey, this house was built in 1972 and we're going to depreciate it by X amount. Okay. That would be actual cash value. Okay. And then the market value is, of course, whatever you're going to pay for it in today's market.
Which is kind of, so those are all measurable, but it sounds like the actual cash value sounds like a little bit of a shuck and jive kind of with figures and stuff.
And right now you're in a situation where, rates are up. The consumer is tighter than ever before. They've got credit card debt. They typically have some car payments, and now they have this mortgage payment.
And you're affecting the mortgage payment.
That's correct. Yeah, we're affecting the mortgage payment. Even though we're probably only going to be about $100 to $125 a month of that mortgage payment. Taxes are up now. Yeah. So you got,
it puts them over the threshold.
It does. It puts them over a threshold. So there's different ways to help out with that, such as deductibles. So increasing your deductible decreases your cost. But, I think the biggest thing is most of the time we see with homeowners is that they just want to get the home closed. Right. And
at the lowest possible price.
At the lowest possible price.
And they're not necessarily thinking about a disaster or a tragedy striking. And that's kind of what you're in. You're in a position in a business that you prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Yeah, and I tell customers this all the time. It doesn't matter who your insurance company or agent is until you have a claim.
That's a true statement. That's a very true statement. I've experienced all different things, and one of the things I appreciate about State Farm and you guys and your team is your service and the way you really return calls and you jump on it. If a first-time home buyer comes to you, though, Jason, do you guys have to check credit or have to make sure credit worthiness as well as?
Not really. We do have to read a disclosure that there is a credit element to it, but it's not a hard inquiry on your credit score. It's almost like an insurance credit score that determines that. All right.
What do you do with contents when people are insuring and you're insuring the structure for the bank? I'm assuming when they're borrowing money and their debt to incomes and all that stuff and their loan to values is all a little bit wonky when they're first starting. They didn't bring a lot of cash. First time home bome don't generally bring a lot of cash to the table, and so you're mainly insuring the creditor. What about the contents of a home policy?
Yeah, so for us, and I tell people this, almost every claim is subject to a deductible. So your higher deductible will be a lower premium is what it goes down to. But we have a base premium, a base percentage of personal property.
Okay.
Now, there's always subject tos in insurance. I feel like there's subject tos in anything, but you have an antique, you have a nice Rolex watch or your wife's engagement ring. You got certain coverages built in there, but there's limits to those.
Okay. Do you guys require proof of those? Like if somebody just declares they had a antique and they really didn't, how you do that?
So if you don't have that antique insured on the front end through a separate insurance policy, you're going to be limited.
Like a rider?
Yes. A personal articles policy is what we call it, or a rider. Yeah, very similar to that. So there have been those situations where, you're all of a sudden things start coming out of the woodwork and, you
start going, uh-oh, something's up.
Yeah. So I tell you, in the South, we talk about this a lot. Do you have an antique? Do you have any jewelry? And do you have any firearms that you want insured? Yeah.
Yeah, because down here in the South, people seem to have all three of those.
They seem to have all three of those in the South. So those are kind of the main things that we see coming up the majority of the time.
What are you how is inflation affecting insurance directly?
Oh,
the
main thing that when we have an inflation rider in all of our homeowner policies that keeps up supposedly with the cost to rebuild your house.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. We had a home insured that was for $280,000 last year, and now we're estimating the replacement cost to be around $345,000.
Wow.
Now, and the main driver of that is the cost of materials and inflation. Wow. So it's a major factor, and especially right now when you're having, I don't want to say a shortage, but there are times where it is challenging to get people to be able to do the work.
Yeah.
Roofers, contractors, they're backed up.
Yeah. Well, let's switch gears for a second, if you don't mind. One of the things I appreciate about your office, Jason Templeton State Farm Agency here in Carrollton, is your community-focused basis. Tell me a little bit about how you ended up in Carrollton and what you love about this place.
I would say that it's always a unique story how you end up in Carrollton. Carrollton's a big, small town.
Yes.
I started off in banking. I got transferred here from Regions Bank, and then stayed in the community, and we loved it. And then I've been in insurance for the past 9 years. I think what I like about Carrollton is it gives you a great home family feeling, while at the same time you're close to Atlanta, but you don't have to necessarily deal with the Atlanta traffic. Our school systems are top notch. City, county, we're very blessed to have that. There's a lot to do here. You got a great arts program. You got outdoors. You got the green belt.
The square downtown.
There's just a lot to offer families and singles. It's just a unique community.
I agree with that. Well, I appreciate you being a pillar in our community and being a mainstay. And you've built a strong presence here in town with your State Farm book of business. But I appreciate how you serve one customer at a time. You take care of them, and you try to surround yourself with a really strong team with great customer service. It's real easy to refer you guys, and I know. Putting your insurance hat back on for a second. Yes. When people are shopping the other types of insurance agencies out there that are advertising, they're like racing to the bottom of the price points, right? And you guys are competing that, and you're trying to provide a high quality product and competing with that Reptile or whoever in the industry.
It's a real situation.
How do you typically deal with that? How do you combat that?
Well, here's one thing I try to do, and I don't always get it right. Number one is I try to educate our customers on State Farm's products. And I don't know every other insurance product out there. And in our community, we're very blessed to have a lot of good insurance companies and agents. So I want to educate our customer. I want them to understand when and if they have a claim, what's going to happen, and how that process is going to work. I am never going to be the cheapest. We're just not. State Farm's not. They've been around for over 100 years. They're the number one home and auto insurance provider in the United States.
You got to be doing something right.
And we're going to take care of our customers. Mm-hmm. Now, at the end of the day, there is a price component to it. You know, I went and bought a mattress one time, and I'll never forget this guy. And I'm like, $3,000 for a mattress. And he's like, how many hours a day are you going to spend on your mattress? And I'm like, okay, well, that's a very good point. I was like, you got me. Okay, get me the mattress. Yeah. It's very similar to that. Why are you going to be willing to save a couple of $100 a year, $10 a month to protect your largest asset with someone that may or may not come through?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about anyone in particular. I'm just saying, you know, why would you even consider that?
I had some brands that I've seen advertised that flashed through my brain right then. I won't call them out right now, but have not been good paying. Like when you have, like you said a while ago, every insurance is very similar to you have a claim.
Right.
And all of a sudden your agent matters and your insurance company matters. And so because it seems to me sometimes, I know we have an insurance commissioner in the state of Georgia that kind of oversees all insurance and so forth to make everybody play by the same rules and make sure everybody provides quality content in coverage. I guess they don't really matter coverage, just matter make you do what you say you will do, correct?
Yeah, and I think the insurance commissioner has a challenging position because at the end of the day, and you know, the insurance companies are, and we're mutually a mutual company, which means our insureds own our company.
Okay.
So there's a happy medium to where, you know, we need to charge a competitive rate, but we need to be able to make sure that we are going to come through on our promise, which is to back the policy that we have.
Yeah.
And, you know, we can't make too much money, but we do need to make enough money.
Yeah.
So there is that fine balance. The commissioner's got, especially right now, and, you know, not to go down a rabbit hole, but it's very challenging right now for the commissioner because body shops are backed up, can't get parts, labor shortage from that standpoint, and so the costs continue to rise. And again, a direct correlation between inflation and those costs rising. He's got a very challenging job. So he's got to try to do that, make sure everyone's doing their part, paying their claims, and it's just a unique time all the way around.
Man, you work in a pretty complicated space.
Yes,
but I think it's cool. A service position though, you get to see people sometimes when they're at their worst, and you try to help them navigate out of that. And I know you as a Christ follower that you want to also bring hope into situations and stuff. But I also appreciate the fact that you help educate people and prepare them. You know, we're going through a series at church suffering. Everybody's going to suffer at some point, and when you can show people how to work themselves with the help out of suffering, man, you've given them something special. And I think I see insurance as really like something broke. We need you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we're also paying that in front or paying that ahead, so that if something does happen, we've kind of helped you guys with that too. So, man, it's been very good, man. I appreciate you coming and being on our podcast today. And hopefully this won't be the last time. We'll have you back.
Hey, anytime you want to have me on here, Dwayne, I'll come. I really had a great time. Thank you.
Thank you.